call the meeting of March 23rd, 2026, regular session to order. Roll call, please. Nicole?
He didn't hear you.
Haig?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
First item is a presentation by Deputy City Manager, Public Works Director Drew Williford. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, as we continue this evening with our departmental updates, this evening we have Public Works and Community Development, and Drew Williford will spend the next hour and a half talking to you about
Drew, we discussed that.
As we have discussed this, as I have passed along to most people, I will try to make this as quick and painless as possible. But good evening, Council, and thank you for your time this evening to present this update. It's my pleasure. And with that, we'll go ahead and get in. This update is going to cover items which have already occurred over the last year, and it's going to focus on calendar year 2025 with a few items that will begin and be covered for the upcoming year. I'm going to get this. There we go. You may not be able to see everything on the slide with the WebEx meeting or the Teams meeting there, but that's okay. It should be in your handout, and if anyone needs a handout, they are available in the back if anyone is here in the audience and needs to follow along. The first thing I want to discuss is what is part of our team, and that is essentially 5 different categories. Airport operations, which has 1 employee, community development, which has 3 employees, engineering division, which has 2 employees, 1 new hire starting in May, I'm happy to say, and more on that later. Street division, which has 9 employees. Unfortunately, we have 2 vacancies there, and our wastewater division, which has 7 employees and no vacancies. One thing I like doing in all these presentations is making sure that you know what team you are working with, and so I have here the different members of our wastewater division. This is the division that's tasked with maintaining both the wastewater treatment plant, collection system, pre-treatment ordinances, and much more, actually. They truly do a lot, and as long as everything's working right, no one knows they exist in a lot of ways, but as soon as something's wrong, people know that we have a fantastic team that quickly addresses the issue. I'm very proud of our teams here. The 3 employees on the left side of the screen have well over 6 years of experience, and the employees on the right are much more new hires. Some have a year, some have even just a week of experience. And so we have quite a wide range and some turnover in the division. It's actually an excellent career path, as when you get your licensure, especially your wastewater operating license A level, you are welcome to work in almost any state and any location of the state. They handle, as far as the wastewater system goes, some brief statistics. I'm not going to cover all of these in the interest of time, but they maintain over 2,000 structures, nearly 85 miles of gravity main, 12 lift stations, and our plant for the last year, it flowed at an average daily flow of 2.07 million gallons per day. So this is just part of the system that they maintain. And if you have questions about any of these things as we go through it, I know we have covered several different things throughout the last year as far as purchasing pumps, so I've covered some of these in that period of time. Quick look at the operations side. We just looked at infrastructure, so this accompanies it. Operations, they have cleaned over 23 miles, almost 24 miles of main, and inspected 7 miles of main. 16 spot repairs have been done, and then one part of the wastewater process that is not really discussed all that often is the locates. We're required to be part of the Missouri One Call system. As part of that, anytime someone digs and calls the dig right process, we have to respond. We sometimes respond to emergencies, sometimes to routines. In this case, in 25, we had over 2,000 locates called in. 275 of those were emergencies, requiring less than 2 hours of response time from our staff. It means they go out and they mark exactly where the sewer is because there's an emergency, and then hopefully we do not have a occasion where that sewer gets hit. Just a few highlights from the last year. The Penn Valley pump has been installed, and it is working very, very well. I'm proud of our staff here on this particular one, and that they took the initiative. This was a pump that was planned to be purchased and installed by a contractor. Instead, our staff took the initiative and actually learned every part of the process, because we intend to duplicate this process 2 more times. So by that, the staff saved, we think, close to probably $7,000 of city funds by doing it internally, and we now are able to move forward knowing the process, install the next 2 pumps that we have. Furthermore, they did quite a bit of research on this particular pump, and they found, even going to Macon, I believe they reviewed the plant there that was using it, and they found the best pump for what we need. So I'm very proud of our staff in regards to that. You may notice the lift station cellular alarm monitoring system is listed here. This is a multi-phase effort, so this is actually the second to last year as far as 25 goes. In 26, you'll find it's the last leg of this project, and that's extremely helpful to us. The screenshot that you have on the screen now, the photo you have, is actually of the login showing that system. So it tracks pump run times, it tracks the level of the wet well. This all relates to the lift stations throughout our system, and again, as of this year, once they're all installed, all of them will be handled, and that allows us to find problems in the system. We have found multiple places where the pumps were not cycling right, we had an overampage issue, all kinds of problems have been found through this process. So I appreciate council authorizing this whole process to proceed. And finally, we're coming to the end of it. Skipping a few of these here, moving over to the sanitary and storm sewer inspections. This was actually a big part of their work this past year, and it's taken up by the screen here, but we have been out ahead of MoDOT's resurfacing program. As you may know, MoDOT is planning to resurface a lot of streets here in Mexico and do quite a bit of ADA work here. I talked with their engineer over the weekend, trying to get an update on where they're at. So they actually are advertising right now. They're going to have a bid opening on April 17th, and so we should know who the contractor will be at that point in time. They thought anytime after June 22nd, we would probably see construction. So again, June 22nd, hopefully you'll start seeing a contractor here in town working for that MoDOT project, and their completion date is July 1st of 27. July 1st
Do you know
of
what
27.
Do you know what streets or roads they're doing?
Yeah, virtually almost every road that's a MoDOT-owned road. So they're not doing the roads which were resurfaced just a couple years ago, of course. But this project covers a lot of ADA upgrades, so you're going to find a lot of corners and intersections are going to be touched by this project. And then, of course, they'll be resurfacing 15, 22s you're coming in, Muldrow, South Clark, and they're also going to be doing some patching there on Boulevard as well.
Good, great.
So it's a substantial project, a huge investment by MoDOT into our community. Next division up is our street division. Every employee on the four on the left has over 3 years of experience there. I should say, I'm sorry, every employee, the four that are on the left, from then on, we have less than 3 years experience, and we have 2 vacancies. So we've had quite a bit of turnover in the streets. Difficult job, difficult working environment, I understand. We're trying to do a lot right now to support our street division and maintain a positive atmosphere. One thing that you may hear about coming up is the equipment rodeo on April 10th, and that's being done in multiple communities to, in essence, promote a positive atmosphere for our equipment operators. At the end of the day, whoever wins is going to get a stipend to potentially go on and compete at a national level for this equipment rodeo. We have a total of 9 positions. This does include the mechanic for the city, and so that mechanic is tasked with all the different vehicles, not just passenger cars or police cars, whatever it may be, vehicle-wise, but they're also talking heavy equipment. So they do cover quite a bit in that area. And to cover a little bit of information here and statistics on what they do, they maintain over nearly 80 centerline miles of streets, alleys, over 3,300 signs. They also maintain the stormwater system. And so in our system, we count over 900 inlets, 21 miles of gravity main, and this system is one that often gets neglected in many communities. You may know that we have a project that is ongoing to map our stormwater system, and I thank you for that because we have seen some really good results from that process, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Just some operations or highlights from the past year. Our crew in the street division, I'm very proud of them. They placed 595 tons of hot mix. 297 tons of that was on South Missouri Street using that new paver that we got last year. And so that thing is working out very, very well. Skipping down here a bit, concrete work-wise, they poured 255 cubic yards and doing street patching throughout the city and replaced 200 feet of curb and gutter. They're also responsible for stormwater. I mentioned that. And so they replaced 75 linear feet of culvert this year, 750 linear feet of ditching. And of course, ran the street sweeper for 302 hours. Side note on that one, we're getting a new street sweeper. I think we're going to have it within 1 month. So everything sounds positive there. Moving forward here to community development. Excuse me. We have 3 employees in this area that cover building code. They do inspections, both residential and commercial. Then we have code enforcement, of course. We have abatement and demolitions, and quite a bit more involved in this. We also, in regards to that, we have a few key statistics from our past year. Building code-wise, we issued 482 permits, and that breakdown is in front of you there. Also conducted 923 inspections as part of all this. The numbers that you see that are in the parentheses are the anticipated value of those costs. Code enforcement, they issued letters for 1,900 nuisance violations and issued 89 summonses throughout the past year. And as far as household hazardous waste, it's another item that our code enforcement branch of community development handles. They had 46 drop-offs over the last year. And some of the houses that occurred and were built over the last year, I keep saying last year, it's really, I'm talking calendar year 2025, are also shown here as a demonstration of what's going on in the community. Some further highlights of the past year beyond statistics, though, we've had a pretty busy year in our community. So the Handy Shop started their new construction. The Phase 1 for Western Smokehouse Partners was completed. Thank goodness, that worked well. Phase 2 is now starting. Presser started their addition. Middle school started their addition. Tennis courts at Mexico High School, as well as a concession stand started. Weberg Painting and Remodel started. So quite a bit that's going on. In addition to that, we had some inspection work that was done at 114 West Jackson Street for Parapet. That's a downtown building, an older structure that we noticed we actually received a concern about, and then further investigation and a structural and engineer review later indicated that it does truly have some issues, so we closed the sidewalk, and that is getting closer and closer to being addressed and the sidewalk being reopened. As far as community development, code enforcement also has had a busy year. We've had some nuisance ordinance updates, and then we also have instituted a new standard operating procedure that I believe has been presented previously to council. And then the whole summons process has also been greatly streamlined, which will allow for a much faster processing of summonses here as we move forward. Moving on to our engineering division. We have our engineering technician, we have our administrative assistant listed here as well, and then I also want to point out our new hire. Savannah Lentz is going to start, it sounds like, May 20th, and I cannot tell you how excited we are to have her on board. She is going to the University of Arkansas, going into biological engineering, and she's majoring in sort of wastewater side of things, so she will be a fantastic fit here. Interviewed extremely well. We are very fortunate to have her, very fortunate. You may know it's Troy Lentz's daughter. With that, we're going to cover some of the larger construction projects that were completed in 2025. We're going to start off with the Pollock Road Bridge. We replaced a structure that was over 120 feet long, multiple spans, with a single-spanned precast concrete bridge. That project turned out very well. We got it completed, and now we no longer have a weight-limited structure on that road. And I'm going to say on that road because that leads me to the next project that we had completed, which is our Pollock Road culvert replacement. That structure was weight limited to, I believe, 3 tons, if I'm not mistaken, right? If I'm not mistaken. That structure is no longer weight limited. So we have both structures which were weight limited on Pollock Road are now addressed, and so we don't no longer have concerns about, we'll say, trash trucks, school buses, any of those things, even farm implements going over these structures. They are built for traffic rating. Furthermore, you see on the right side of your screen, or sort of see there, that is actually Teal Lake Access Road. That is the only road that we have legally to get back to Teal Lake Dam and Spillway. And that road encountered a major problem when we had a culvert collapse. And unfortunately, it's hard to see here, but the culverts actually there are 6-foot diameter culverts. They are large, and there's 4 of them. They were all corrugated metal pipe, and they were all very much egg-shaped, oval-shaped. Even metal was just deteriorating from them, dropping off. And that caused actually a slope failure out there. No one could cross that area safely. So now, because of that ARPA stormwater grant, we've been able to replace both of these locations, the culverts there. There are 4 high-density polyethylene pipes installed at the Teal Lake Access Road location, and that is back up and running. We can now maintain the dam, spillway, and anything else that's in that area that is in need of attention. East Anderson Street, right outside here. That project was also completed back in '25, and that project, we ran into a number of utility conflicts, I think that may be my record for the number of utility conflicts on a single project. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Ameren, Finks Fiber, and several of our utility partners that have been fantastic to work with. They have provided great response on all of these projects, and they have been, Missouri American Water included, all of them have been great to work with. So a quick shout out for them. North Washington Street, I'm providing this as sort of a partial completion, even though it's hard to see on the PowerPoint here, but this is a case where all the concrete work is done, but we're going to come back and have asphalt placed there. And so you'll see that this stretch there where you see the asphalt will have a nice new asphalt surface placed here we anticipate by the end of April. Some of these dates are subject to change based on whenever the asphalt plant opens. We're thinking end of April for that case. Curtis, and I'm going through this fast, my apologies. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me. Projects to be completed. So now we're jumping forward with the idea of what is going to be done in 2026. We've got Curtis Love Abbott. That is our largest of all the projects going on at this time. The project is likely to wrap up here this next month. All the concrete is expected to be done in April. We also are hopeful that all of the asphalt work will be done in April, but a little bit of that is subject to when Kentucky is done as well. We think Kentucky will also wrap up in April. Both are using the exact same subcontractor to complete the asphalt work, and so we have asked both to work together so that even if we need to delay by a week or so, we have that contractor only mobilized to the city one time and knock out both streets. That way, once all of that's done, it's done, and everyone sees a nice new asphalt street for both locations. So that could extend into very early May. I hope it doesn't, but we will see. Moving on, Fairground Culvert. That's another big one. We've been draining that lake, as many people know, even issued emergency salvage fish orders for the site. There's been a number of issues that have come up on the project that have delayed it to this point. We do anticipate the steel has been ordered for the new box culvert. You may recall that we had to redesign the box culvert because of some unanticipated utility conflicts on the site. And so we do anticipate that we'll have all of that precasting done most likely the second week of April, I'm hoping, and we'll be able to see progress on that site here in April. That's why you only see a picture of the plans that was developed by Bartlett and West. Same thing with Muldrow. So Muldrow, we've had quite a delay too as well due to some state historic preservation items. That final inspection, or semi-final I should call it, is actually due this week, and we hope to see phase 2 of Muldrow close here very soon. We hope to see phase 3 exit the design process and enter the bidding process here in just a few months. So we're pretty close to wrapping up the actual Muldrow portion of the project, and you'll actually find in your packets that phase 4, we'll call it, of the larger scheme of the Mexico Sidewalk Improvement Projects is going to be in your packet here for the engineering services contract, and that'll be later this evening. We also have two other projects that are key to the community. So the Huntingfield and Teal Lake intersection project is one which is being brought about not just for the need of it. This has been a long time coming. This has been a pretty atypical intersection as you might look at it from a engineering and service standpoint, but also because this is the site of the future VFW monument. And so we want to encourage that. I think their process is moving along very, very, very well. And so I'm hopeful that we can get this project bid out along with the Teron Lou entrance off of Boulevard here in the next, we'll call it within the next month, so that we can be ready for construction to start by the end of May. And hopefully we'll have construction completed by mid-July. We're going to focus on Teron Lou first so that we can get in, get out before hopefully the July 4th event occurs. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Audrey Medical Center site. So as you know, we're in the process of the abatement right now, and they are in the main complex. Dribbling, of course, is completed, and so is the Cornerstone facility. And abatement will likely continue for another month or so. I think they're actually moving very, very well on abatement. And the next question, of course, is going to be after phase 1 of demolition is going to be how do we handle phase 2? And in theory, we're looking at some start dates here, potentially in August 15th. We're sort of tentatively eyeing, we'll say, and then knowing that maybe towards the middle to end of January. It could go quicker, though. I'm trying to keep things somewhat realistic with all of this. And then finally here, our airport operations employees. I wanted to cover that. I wanted to point out a couple things here. Jay Jacoby has done a fantastic fantastic job managing our airport. Some people do not know that on the east side of town, we do have a fantastic airport with the terminal, provides fantastic service and much needed service for many different things. One project that was approved several years ago was to displace runway 6. So we would say runway 624 is the one that goes east-west. Runway 6 would be the one more on the western side. It's hard to see in these pictures, but the Bentley building actually can be seen from that left picture on the PowerPoint there. You can see the runway pointing right out at the very, very west end there. That is why we have to displace the runway threshold back towards the east so that as the airplane's climbing, we don't meet any odd criteria with FAA that would say, well, you can't support this aircraft or that aircraft, and having that additional space on the runway, which did not require any additional concrete construction, helps out the airport tremendously in that regard. So that picture right there actually conveys a little bit of that need. Just a few items here that came up in 2025 that I wanted to highlight. Our airport's used extensively for pipeline work, so whether that is pipeline just north of town or even other pipelines, they routinely land at our airport and will fuel up and take a break and these kinds of things. Of course, crop dusters do similar. Other kind of entities include Western Smokehouse Partners that you see there. The one that's covered up by the screen right there is the Iowa National Guard with a couple of Chinooks that are landed, and they were doing exercises with our airport and with their groups. The Missouri National Guard, of course, has been out there as well. And then Miracle Grow was in town. And then the last picture on the bottom right is a picture that was taken for the aircraft that were here when Simon Stricker had their cattle auction going on. A few quick needs for the airport, and these are critical. So our fuel system is quite old. The system's going to need to be upgraded, and we're looking at funds right now trying to figure out how we're going to approach that. We're thinking a new fuel system, just in the system itself, is going to be a $750,000 investment. We think that the engineering on that could easily run another 20-30%, maybe more. So we're trying to look into funding to figure out how we can accomplish that, but that is what I would call a critical need at the moment. Sealing runway 1836, your north-south runway. That also is a critical item. We're going to have to do some routing and crack sealing, joint sealing, and then a surface seal of that runway. And then, of course, some stormwater improvements behind the window there. There is another screen for drainage improvements. So that covers the majority of the presentation for items that have occurred. I'm also required to give an annual update for our Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, otherwise known as MS4 program. As you may know, this program is required for any city that has population over 10,000 in size. EPA mandates that DNR mandate us to comply with the program, so we have developed what's called a stormwater management plan in order to address stormwater quality concerns throughout our community. There are 6 minimum control measures. They range from public education to tracking illicit discharges, which you could see as any kind of discharge of material other than stormwater pollutant, we'd say, to even just municipal operations. As far as the city's stormwater sites go, we have 3 that are in land disturbance phase, and we have 20 that are in the stormwater maintenance phase. Those sites require inspection, whether they're under construction, which is typically a monthly inspection, or whether they are post-construction, and we do an inspection once every reporting cycle, which would be about once every 5 years on those sites. Furthermore, a few quick events that occurred in the last year, we'll say in 2025, we did participate in the Find Your Path event. We tried to bring a slight stormwater education slant to that event so that we can both educate and support our community with that one event. We also participated in the 25 Tehran New Day of Service, which helps hopefully keep any kind of litter and debris out of our waterways. And then, of course, Earth Day of 25. We also conduct good housekeeping inspections. I mentioned land disturbance, post-construction inspections. Those statistics are before you. We did have 4 what we would call illicit discharges over the past year, which we did review, addressed in accordance with our policy, and found no significant concern there. And we do conduct employee training for city employees that would deal with stormwater-related items. One important note, though, that I will mention here is that we do have a new permit inbound in 2026. So far, things look okay, but you never know sometimes when you end up with a completely new permit. I'm also obligated to provide a update for, excuse me, for the mapping project that we have ongoing. Mexico is fortunate enough to receive a grant through what's called the DNR Section 604B. It's a clean water criteria grant. This is being used for our city to support mapping of our stormwater infrastructure. And so this grant has Horner and Schifrin selected as the contractor. They've got Visu Sewer, who you may have seen their vehicles parked out in the city lot, the old Pearl lot out here doing CCTV work. And so they have been working to map the storm sewer system. Just to provide you an update on this, you can kind of compare, even though some of the maps off there. In 25, we had a priority area for the downtown because we're trying to evaluate if we have any cross connections between our storm sewer and sanitary sewer. And instead, we found a whole bunch of places where the storm sewer is failing and we need to replace it. We're going to have to do that sooner rather than later. Actually, I already ordered pipe for that, and it's in progress, just a matter of time to get there. You can see, though, the map comparing it from 25 to 26 and how much progress has been made for the site, and we're very, very pleased with the work both Horner and Schifrin has done and Visu Sewer has done. With that, I went through things very, very quickly, but if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Sure.
First of all, thank you for the report, and thank you to everybody that works for you. It looks like a tremendous amount of work, a lot of success. I was just going to ask you a question I get asked a lot, and that's about the Fairground Lake.
Yep.
And you mentioned that you're going to be put the culvert in. How does draining that lake going, and how does it affect that culvert?
Yep, so there are some misconceptions on that project, and rightfully so. We had hoped that project would be done almost by now. So a few things that have happened. First of all, we're not actively pumping the lake right now. We do have a pump that is used for our wastewater treatment plant. What we do is we hook that up, and we can pump almost 3 million gallons per day, probably effectively more like 2.5, and we can drain that lake fairly quickly with active pumping. Initially, we were using a siphon, if you may recall, to try and just siphon the lake without the pump being actively on. We ended up running into a few different delays, some of which were design issues. So we found out that a couple utilities in that area were in conflict with the culvert, and so we had to redesign the culvert. Well, that took some time, and we're finally at the phase where they ordered the steel for the culvert, and we hope that thing's going to be cast here in early April and get the contractor on site. We also had some problems with our pump, to be frank. The pump broke during the process, and so we ended up having to send that off for repair, and that has not been a cheap or quick process, but we do have it back. It's working. We are not actively pumping at this moment in time. We're working with the contractor right now to figure out, okay, when do you think you're going to be here? All right, then we're going to turn on the pump, a few weeks ahead of that, and then we'll make sure that that lake is dropped enough for you all to get in there. Our hope had been to keep that lake dropped for quite some time, but between all the problems I mentioned, we were not able to do that. We certainly want to acknowledge and appreciate the Department of Conservation. They were willing to help with that emergency fish salvage order that occurred back last summer. So at least on the positive side, we have not had a fish kill, to my understanding, out there. I think the community has done a great job too in fishing that lake, and it will be restocked once this project is done. But we're going to have Fairground closed there for probably several weeks, so that probably 3 or 4 weeks, so that the contractor can get in. We also have some sewer work that we have to do through there before the process happens. So all of this is going to be planned probably in April and probably going into May. But I know the contractor told me today that he has a big project in May, so he's hoping to get in and get out in April pretty quick.
Were there plans to actually improve the lake itself?
Yes, we're also working on that. So we're hoping to take $100,000, and we're hoping to get a long arm excavator as part of all of this. And if we can do all of that, we're also going to use some of our city staff to man dump trucks, and we're going to try to haul off as much of that as we can with that budget. So we are over budget on the grant process, so we're trying to find ways to cut some costs, and it had been the plan to use the contractor to do that work. But I think we can save quite a bit of money if we reallocate internal staff to drive those dump trucks and even use internal staffing for that long arm excavator. And then we'll just see how much we can get done with that $100,000.
Okay, thank you.
It looks nice around the lake with the brush clearing and that sort of thing.
Kudos to Parks on that. They did an excellent job with that.
Yeah. How many parking spots will be at the Tronlu entrance?
That's a good question. I haven't seen the plans yet, so that would be a very good question I can follow up with you on.
And then what's the TSA wait time at our airport now?
Not at all. We even have a complimentary
Zero.
vehicle.
Good. Thank you, Drew.
Any other questions? If none, thank you, Drew. At this time, I need a motion we need to approve the minutes of March 9, 2026 regular session.
So moved. Second.
Haig. Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next would be a public hearing. Need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Haig.
You have to be louder.
Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Yes.
He must be having trouble.
Okay, our public hearing is to consider the rezoning request to rezone property located on Monroe Street from I-1 Light Industrial District to R1 Single Family District. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this is located on West Monroe Street, and again, it is to reduce the zoning to a single-family dwelling. And current dwelling is being built, and to cover the details and the location, Drew Williford.
Good evening, council. As Bruce mentioned, we're going to be changing zoning here at this location. This is commonly addressed as 1941, 1973, and 2005 West Monroe Street. So currently it's an I-1 that we have received a letter from Nicole Beasley to reduce that to an R1 single-family district so that they can build their new single-family dwelling at this location. Staff has reviewed the location. It is compliant with the current city comprehensive plan that shows low to medium density residential use for this location. Staff has also provided notice to adjacent property owners within 300 feet. No comments have been received at this time. Planning and zoning met on February 10th and made a motion that council grant approval for the requested rezoning. With that concludes our staff presentation.
Comments from the,
Reading.
this is a public hearing. Go ahead.
Public hearing.
I'm sorry.
This is a public hearing on this subject only. If you have anything to say, come to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing none?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item, new business ordinance, 2 readings by title only and passage, bill number 2026-11.
Can I do it now?
No?
Darn.
Council, unless you have any other questions, we'd recommend you proceed with 2 readings by title only and a passage of the attached ordinance, which is reference the changing of the zoning for the public hearing you just heard, and the ordinance has been posted its required length of time.
Now,
Now, move for first reading of Bill 2026-11.
Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill 2026-11, ordinance rezoning property located 1941, 1973, 2005 West Monroe Street, and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri zoning from I-1 Light Industrial District to R1 Single Family District. Move for second reading of 2026-11.
Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill 2026-11, ordinance rezoning property located 1941, 1973, 2005 West Monroe Street, amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri zoning from I-1 Light Industrial District to R1 Single Family District. Move for passage of 2026-11.
Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is bill number, the resolutions, bill number 2026-12, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an engineering service agreement. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, the city has received funds for a transportation alternative program for sidewalk improvements along the west side of South Morris Street, generally down in the middle school, YMCA area. And to cover the details of the project and the contract, Drew Williford.
Council, as Bruce mentioned, this project is going to hook the middle school up all the way down to Lakeview Park. So we are pleased to proceed with this project here and get the grant for it because this is a much-needed item. We've heard talk about the need for sidewalks along Morris Street between, what we're going to call it, between Boulevard and Lakeview. This would be a key missing location as well, as when you're looking at the downtown area and connecting that all the way down to the commercial district. We'll call it down around the Aldi and Cinema and that area. This is one key missing area. So the process typically goes that when MoDOT awards the project, we then go through a series of steps to select a consultant that will work on the project because we don't have sufficient staff or time to do the engineering and in essence comply with all the grant requirements, and there are many, in-house. And so the city engaged engineering surveys and services through the MoDOT consultant on-call list, which is a process MoDOT allows to kind of streamline consultant selection. Engineering surveys and services is an on-call consultant as well for the City of Mexico. They were selected as well for our work here, and they are working on the Phase 3 project along Muldrow. So keep in mind this, we're somewhat calling this project a Phase 4 for a broader Mexico sidewalk improvement project. So staff has proceeded to enter into negotiations for a contract for the work. This again is related to preliminary engineering and construction engineering work. Engineering Surveys and Services has provided an estimate for their work totaling $100,108.67, split between PE, preliminary engineering, and construction engineering, respectively. The 25-26 budget does include $405,584 to support, in essence, all the TAP grants that we have, Phase 2, Phase 3, and what we would call Phase 4 here. So sufficient funding does exist. It's important to note that this project is grant funded at a ratio of 80-20. So the city would be responsible for 20% of the total project cost, which is anticipated to be $432,000, roughly speaking. So we would recommend council proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Pleasure of the board.
I move for first reading of bill number, reading of 2026-12.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes. Bill number 2026-12, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an engineering services agreement with Engineering Surveys and Services for professional services related to TAP, TAP-9900, in parentheses 274. I move for passage.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Next is Bill number 2026-13, a resolution authorizing city manager to sign tax order number 2026-02 with Loomis Electric. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. As part of this project, we will need to update some of our disinfection system that leaves the wastewater treatment plant and to cover the resolution through Williford.
Well, Council, DNR mandates that any wastewater plant that discharges to a receiving stream which has designated water uses has to have a disinfection protocol for the months between April 1st and October 31st. We achieve that by ultraviolet disinfection at our wastewater treatment plant. That system is a fairly complicated system with several different modules and multiple different sensors and UV bulbs. We've undertaken a 3-year project to replace these. We are in year 2, and you may recall that back in November, we brought the staff report to purchase the actual network cards for Module 2. This is sort of the second half of that project. This would be purchasing power control center cards, and we would be engaging Lumix Electrical, which again is the city's on-call electrician, to support the work on this project, and they would be doing the rewiring of the project as well. So back in November, we spent approximately $14,000 for the materials, And we have asked Lumix for a task order that would include the power control center cards and the rewiring. They provided that task order cost at $11,863.06. Our budget for this year has a total fund available of $26,000. So when you add these two together, you come up out at $25,909.92. So we are under budget, just barely. We would recommend proceeding to authorize Lumix to proceed with that 2026-02 task order at $11,863.06. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Show's pleasure.
I move for reading of bill number 2026-13.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes. Bill number 2026-13, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign task order number 2026-02 with Lumix Electrical LLC to upgrade the ultraviolet disinfection system at the wastewater treatment plant. I move for passage.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill number 2026-14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a task order number 2026-03 with Loomis Electric. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this is to replace a control panel at the Highway 54 lift station. And once again, Drew Wilford.
So council sign, I failed to mention on the prior one, but feeds into this as well, as both of these are budgeted and planned purchases. So in this case, staff reviewed our lift stations over the past several years, really, and we've been evaluating the premise of trying to develop a systematic approach to address some electrical issues that are all common to many of these lift stations. This systematic approach would be aimed at replacing our control panels for the 12 lift stations that we maintain and operate throughout the collection system. The Highway 54 South lift station, as we call it, is located on South Clark Street. It's just south of Pearl Motor Company. And many of the components of that lift station are over 30 years old, and they're in need of repair. We have trouble getting replacement parts for these, so we asked Lumix Electrical to develop a task order, the one before you, which would include replacing the existing panel and all of the components within the panel, controls, and wiring. So we planned, I mentioned for this purchase, we have budgeted $27,500 for it. The cost came back from Lumix for this task order at $26,482.17. So there is sufficient funding available to cover this purchase. We'd recommend proceeding with reading by title only and passage. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Move for reading Bill 2026-14.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Bill 2026-14, a resolution authorizing city manager to sign task order number 2026-03 with Lumix Electrical LLC to replace the control panel for the Highway 54 South lift station, the amount of cost of $26,482.17. Move for passage 2026-14.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is under staff reports. It's a purchase of a used motor grader for the street division. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, our 30-plus-year-old motor grader has stopped operating, and so we have a choice to repair or replace, and to cover the recommendation, Drew Wilford.
Can I make a comment? If Drew doesn't have anything to do, you need to assign some more stuff to him.
Be happy to help however I can. This is a little atypical one because this is asking for a conditional approval on a purchase. We had our motor grader out on Commerce Road and the transmission went out. So we were able to get it back to our maintenance building under its own power and still is sort of working. And we did have a technician come out, and sure enough, in the filter for the transmission, there's all kinds of metal shavings, and it's pretty well toast. So we went ahead and asked them for what the repair cost would be estimated at, and he provided a value of $57,535.20. This motor grader is a 1992 John Deere motor grader, and so it's definitely at that point where we need to heavily weigh whether we keep it or whether we don't keep it. We worked with Martin Equipment to evaluate potential options here, given this is somewhat of an emergency scenario. We do use the motor grader to blade streets in the city. We also blade alleys. We conduct blading out at the landfill. And of course, we'd like to use it further in our winter operations. So all of those are uses and reasons why we would like to keep a motor grader in stock, we'll call it that, in the fleet. So Martin Equipment found a 2008 John Deere 770D motor grader, which is actually a step above the motor grader that we have. However, it does have 9,157 hours on a motor grader, on the grader, I should say, located at their facility in Illinois. So they shipped the unit to Columbia because they knew of our need for it, and staff went to review it and found it to be in very good working order. As a matter of fact, you have some photos of it on screen. The unit actually comes with a wing that's used for snow, and it's very well tailored to our purposes, to our needs. Doing a little bit of research and talking with some contractors, I found at least that motor graders are generally going to last 12,000 hours, if not more, sometimes getting into that 16,000 hour range. So staff has also been working with Martin Equipment because of the hours on this. We've asked them to take some oil samples, and one of those samples came back a bit higher than we anticipated for the transmission in particular. So we're doing some more research, and we've done more sampling to try and just double check these kinds of questions in our mind of, well, had the transmission oil just not been changed for a little bit? Ultimately, we sent 2 staff members, including the mechanic, out there to drive it again, and they took it down the road and took it out for quite a spin and heard no noise from that transmission. Everything was in real good working order. At this point, we don't see a reason to wait further. What we're asking for essentially, I'm sorry, and I apologize here, one key thing. Whenever I have a salesman provide a cost, I always want to double check that cost. So staff did go look at a few different options here. So in the letter, you do have before you a few different items. One is from Fabic Cat out of Columbia, Missouri, and we looked at a 2007 Caterpillar 140M, had 10,000 hours on it for comparison, and it came in at 89,000. Purple Wave, which is a auction site, which again, we'd be looking at a used motor grader. New, you're looking upwards of $400,000. And we would have a very hard time justifying that for the level of use that we have. We're not out there every day using it. Purple Wave, I have essentially 3 comparisons in here. 2006 Caterpillar 140H, 2006 Caterpillar 163H. One has 8,600, one has 19,000 hours on it. That 8,600 is valued at 90,000 is what they paid, and these are completed auctions. The other being 19,000 hours is 78,000. And then I threw in another one in there just for reference. If you're wanting a newer one, 2019 Caterpillar with only 3,800 hours would run $303,000. We don't need some of the more, we'll call them intricate options. So integrated GPS systems for survey grade work is not necessarily needed. All-wheel drive is not necessarily needed. So we're looking at something that is more bare-boned and tailored for our specific function. This motor grader actually comes from, I'm going to hope I get this right here, Scott County in Iowa, and that's who traded it off. We're still actively pursuing them and trying to understand why they got rid of it. But because this deal is here now and seems to be very well tailored for us, what we are asking for is a conditional approval that as long as the oil samples come back well, and we don't run into any red flags, as I'm going to call them, that we will have the authority to purchase this, because we have 3 weeks until our next council meeting, and we're worried because it's used equipment on the lot. If we miss the opportunity now, we may miss it good, and if we don't find this one, we may have a hard time finding another good deal like this. Our 25-26 budget does not contain money for this purchase. So when we were quoted a cost for this model, we were quoted a total cost of $62,000. However, with the trade-in value of $6,000, that puts us down to $56,000. And so if we were looking at this, what we can evaluate is holding off on the purchase of our sign printer. That's $50,000 in the budget. And delaying also the purchase of the Tiger AI pavement rating, which is budgeted at $10,000 to help support what we would call an emergency purchase at this moment in time. It may be that later in the year, we can support purchase of both of the other items I mentioned, but at this time, we would look at holding off on those and focusing on this as a priority item. So given the balancing act here of the need for the equipment, we're going to have to blade Commerce Road sooner than later here, especially with this time of the year, but also balancing that we want to make sure to do our full research, get the oil samples back, and have a little more conversation with the prior owner, Scott County in Iowa. We would ask for conditional approval of this purchase at this time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I have a question. So I just want to make sure you're asking us to authorize the bid, or authorize the bid on this machine with a provision of you're waiting on a report on it?
That's correct.
And what-
We've taken 3 or 4 more oil samples, and we're still in the process of talking as well with the prior owner. Those oil samples will be back by the end of this week. So we should know whether we're going to pull the trigger on this by the end of this week.
And the oil samples are from where?
Oh, we took them from the transmission.
Okay.
So what we've worked with Martin Equipment for, and they've been fantastic with all of this, they took a sample from a relatively unused or new motor grader. They've taken another one from the transmission, and then they had a third sample in there, and we're going to get sort of a baseline to understand what these are with very little use, what they are with high use, and then they have changed the oil since we drove, not since we drove it, they have changed the transmission oil in there. Something I did fail to mention was they also cut the filter. I told you that on ours, when we cut that transmission filter open, we visibly saw metal shavings all in there. When we cut this, it was clean. So we think that it's a good transmission. If we never did the oil sample, we wouldn't have had this reservation whatsoever, and we'd be
Been there with my
recommending
car,
purchase.
You said your average life is about 12,000 hours?
Yeah.
And this has got roughly 9,000. How long will it take for us to put another 3,000 on it?
It'll probably be about 10 to 15 years at the earliest.
How many hours are on our other one?
So that's a very good question. We believe the hour meter has been changed 3 different times, and currently the hour meter shows 900 hours. And the problem is that when we bought it used. The first reading I have on the hour meter is from 2007, and it's a 92. We bought it in 97. And so in 2007, the first reading I have is, I think, 12 miles. So
I turning back the odometer on my car.
Yeah, I don't have great information, and we have looked for the paper trail. We found the original purchase certificate. We found that, but it doesn't have the hours on it. And I know when we talked to some of our, we'll say senior retirees, that they said, no, when we bought that, we had a lot of hours on it, and we didn't buy a new good motor grader at that point.
Okay. Scroll's pleasure.
Move we purchased, let's see here. Conditional purchase of used motor grader for the street division from Martin Equipment for $62,000 with the condition that all the tests come back the way they should. How about that? Something like that.
Sounds good. Second.
Is it 62 or 57?
Well, this says 62 here, and that's what I was going by, but it's going to be 6,000 less on the trade or whatever, so
Okay.
I did a max of 62.
All right.
I second the motion.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item, staff reports the purchase of Human Resources Information System. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. Our objective here is to streamline a number of our human resource management practices from manual to more computer-operated. And we have planned for a upgrade in our information system for human resources, and to cover the details, Vicki Dingy.
Good evening. Give Drew a break. It's been the Drew Show. So this is something that we are very excited about within our department. Kelly O'Donnelly's here tonight. She's given a lot of her time and energy, as well as Kelly Rhodes, to help us do some evaluation of a system that might help bring us up to the times and improve some of our processes. So as Bruce mentioned, our current process is pretty manual. We use our computer system to actually process the payroll. There's a whole lot of things that happen outside of that whole human resource system that happen in a pretty manual way for us. So while it's been functional and we've made do, this is an opportunity for us to advance and support our department directors and our supervisors and giving them something that really supports them in their role as a manager. So our objective, of course, is to streamline all aspects of the management while improving even the hiring and recruiting process, enhancing the employee engagement experience and offering training opportunities within this software, giving employees easy access to their own payroll and benefit information, and just a whole variety of a lot of other features. So in early 2025, our staff, as mentioned, Kelly and I, we've got two Kellys, and even Roger, when he was here, we all began evaluating some options that were out there in this market space. As you can imagine, it's pretty crowded. Over the last year, we've probably demoed close to 20 of them. So we feel like we've honed in on a good option here, something that could really help us. So earlier this year, we issued that request for proposal. We received 7 back. The proposal submitted by UKG Ready offered us a full suite of services supporting the entire employee life cycle, if you will. So everything from recruiting and posting openings, as well as the applicant experience, the onboarding, benefits enrollment, a learning management module, along with a fully integrated payroll system that really creates this employee self-service experience to some regard, as well as workforce management, payroll processing, and then, of course, it has that general ledger integration that we need to make sure it's all recorded in our financial reports. We are pleased that they have a full suite of services with a dedicated governmental team familiar with the uniqueness of municipal governments all around the country, but also here in Missouri. So they gave us a list of several clients that had very positive experiences with them and highly recommended their product and service. The 2025 budget allowed for $15,900. So a year ago, when we kind of set the budget up, we were looking at this from a slightly different perspective. We thought we had our thumb on a company that would have fit in that budget. And then we expanded it to include the payroll processing. There are just a lot of features that eliminated that duplication of efforts. So we expanded it to include the payroll piece as well. And while it is the recommendation and the proposal they've provided is outside our original budget, we feel like we've got some savings with other purchases that we've made, including our second floor copier and the ongoing related maintenance cost and annual supply savings and just various other personnel related savings to help us pull this together for this year. And we just feel like it's got a lot of positive benefits to our staff. The proposal they've provided, they have offered a 5-year contract. So the year 1 of the contract includes that annual cost of $32,541.60, along with a one-time implementation cost of $7,027. So that total cost for year 1 is $39,568.60, and then years 2 through 5 are locked in for us. Many of our softwares, we don't get that kind of an opportunity to lock things in for 5 years. Oftentimes, we're seeing anywhere from a 6 to 12% increase on our software costs. So kind of we're in a unique perspective here to lock that in for 5 years and know where we're at with it. So staff recommends that council approve the purchase of the UKG Ready Human Resource Information System as stated. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Ms. Nikki,
Yes.
Nicole, the personnel-related savings, what would that be?
So So we have just various things where we've had some position vacancies. So that kind of is a one-time shot that helps us figure it out. We think we've got a way to work this into our budget on an ongoing basis, but to help cover this year's overage, we think that, we've got position vacancies, as Drew mentioned, in streets and public safety and other places that we think that can help us cover the overage.
I see. Looking at that program over the last couple days, it's got a lot of virtual reality stuff.
It does have some AI to
AI.
it, yes.
AI.
Yeah, some of that, is just even in the way you might phrase a job offer letter. It's kind of interesting that, there are some utilization of AI, or even with the performance review aspect. If you feel like as a supervisor, you're preparing a performance review for somebody and you feel really redundant about it, maybe that AI assistant can pop it up and help you find a new way to phrase it to make it sound, to communicate what you're trying to say. So there are some tools in it like that we think can be an assistant to our people.
So none of them really to evaluate just
No.
through the system.
Right.
It'll still be-
Well, I mean, we're doing the evaluations, but sometimes as we're sitting there and actually verbalizing and typing out some feedback or setting goals, or they can help with that if we chose to use it. But if a director or supervisor felt like they were spot on, they certainly don't have to. So
Yeah, it's coming.
it is. It is here.
Mr. Hall's pleasure.
We approve the purchase of a human resource information system from UKG Ready on a 5-year contract.
Second.
Excuse me.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item is discussion regarding options and alternatives for the City Hall public safety location. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. To recap kind of where we've been a little bit with this particular project, actually back in 2024, the idea come up of potentially using the cancer center as an option for City Hall. And so we did sign a task order number 1 with Navigate Building Solutions back in November 24, basically asking the question, could this be used, and if so, what would it generally look like, and cost us to do so. So they presented their findings in March of 25, which reviewed some different options up there as well, and how it could work, and they basically proved that, yes, it could be done. Council went on to ask questions as we proceeded from that point, which ultimately led to task order number 2 with Navigate Building Solutions, which was signed in August of 25, which basically said, let's look at some other options as well. And those options that were outlined at that time was obviously option 1 for the cancer center as a possibility. Option 2 was for a new 2-story building in the lot that the city owns, which we've referred to as the old Pearls lot. And then option 3 we looked at as well, which was a new 1-story type building over there for public safety, and then renovation of existing City Hall. Anyway, that report then obviously came back in December 25 and reviewed with council. And option 1 for the cancer center renovation indicated a price tag of basically $12,800,000. For a new 2-story building, that cost was $18,742,000. And for a partial remodel of this building and a partial rebuild of public safety on the other lot was $18,663,000. And all that information was presented then in December of 25. Following that, we did have a work session in January of 26 that reviewed these, and we discussed options, but we did not take any formal action per se at that time. And so to move this forward, at this time, we're saying, are there options that you want to discuss further? Are there other options? And I think, over the time, we've discussed other options, looked at things, never really found anything that rose to any level of comfort or any cheaper, so to speak, cost options. One of the other things that you do have in front of you, which Mayor Haig had asked that I present along with Councilman Weber regarding financial planning, and of course, we did some financial planning for option one, which was using some funding we had on hand, which then ultimately led to a bond issue of $8 million to finalize this, which would be paid for through the use tax revenue. And what we've already committed out of that funding would leave an estimated remaining balance annually of about $86,000. So basically saying that's an affordable option. A financing plan for option two, which was a totally new City Hall public safety structure, and still using similar dollars to finance, available cash on hand, which would lead then to ultimately a $13.6 million bond issue. And then the payments annually on that versus the commitment means that our annual estimated deficit would be $280,000, which means that became an issue of affordability. We also had the question in regards to, well, if you finance the whole thing and use the cash on hand to offset maybe some other projects or fund this over a period of time, but that deficit then reached over $600,000 annually. So anyway, that financing information you have also. And so I think the discussion now is are there other options? What else do you want us to look at? Is there anything? Are you ready to make decisions or giving us some direction back, I guess is what we're asking.
Well, I'll say something. Nothing ever stopped. I think I'm a one at least who thought there should be some other options looked at. And I've looked at those with Mr. Slagle's help and some others. And as much as I wish we could build a new one across the street, I don't think we can afford that. As much as I would like to see another couple of things happen, that's not going to happen either. And I won't get into what those are, but the only thing we can think about affording to do, I'm thinking is the cancer center, and that wasn't my first choice, still not my first choice, but it seems to be the only choice we can afford. It makes no sense to tear this thing down and rebuild it, because it's the same price as building a new one across the street, and I don't think we can afford to spend $6 million more on a new one across the street than we could do for remodeling that thing. So I don't mean to say that that's a bad option, but that's not my preference, but it is my preference financially.
I think it's a great option.
Yeah, option one.
We have to have a motion if we're going to choose this option or some option for City Hall.
I move we choose option one for the new City Hall.
Which is?
Option one is the cancer center.
Yeah, second that.
I like to make sure we say City Hall Public Safety, because the police and fire is just as important as City Hall. I mean, it's really struggling in this whole building.
Probably more important now, the status of the condition of it.
We got a second?
Yes.
Yeah, you second.
Roll call vote, please.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is a motion to accept Audrain County's letter of intent to convey property.
Your Honor, this is a letter of intent from the county, which is a statement that because They're the actual owners of this property, and we've partnered to, do things, but they're the listed owner, and this is a letter of intent from them, which says if you took the action you took, that they would extend that property to you, and it is a letter of intent, and it's an executed letter of intent signed by the county commission, and if you wish to accept that, then we'll take that as our next step.
May we ask Mr. Winders, could we get a road grader with that too? Or road
That's
grader?
about $400,000.
You want to make the motion?
Yes, I would make that motion. Yes.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is claims.
Move we pay the claims.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Next item are council comments. Mr. Ray.
Just thank you, Mr. Williford, for that presentation and your staff's hard work, and every contact that me and my family has had with your department's been great. So, yeah, they've done a great job, so keep it up.
Mrs. Briggs.
Yeah, Drew, thank you for the great presentation, and we'll be looking forward to meeting the new civil engineer that we're getting, and so I know that'll be a big help to you.
Mr. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Wilford, for all 21 of your presentations tonight. Appreciate that. And hope we don't hear as much from you next meeting.
Mr. Schlegel.
I have nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Well, there's no use me talking about it, Drew. Forgot you over there. Mr. Haig? Mr. Haig, would you-
I'm good. I mean, probably can't hear me great, but thanks, Drew. Thanks, Bruce and staff, for moving forward. Apologize for delaying it a little bit, but as you've heard, I think tonight, hearing the council say yes makes a lot of people, or lets me feel a lot better about us moving forward. We did not want to stand in the way of progress, but we got to hear what everybody felt, and now we can move forward and get us a new city hall and public safety. Shout out to Gigi and also the Chamber. The Mexico Sustainability Project got a nice award. I think they worked together to get that. So I forget the date. I think Dana might be there in person, but she can maybe tell a little bit more about it. But congratulations on that. It's good to see Mexico get some recognition. And other than that, hopefully it warms up again. It's a couple nice days. It's a little too cold now, but everybody, school's on spring break, so I'll enjoy my week off.
Okay, Drew, I don't need to say anything. Everybody else has beat you up, so. But I'd like to kind of echo Mr. Haig's thoughts there. The Cancer Center, the delay was good because at that point, everybody that's up here had time to work through the situation and make sure they were happy with what they're doing. And I need to say, of course, whatever we do, not everybody's happy. But we, as a group up here, I believe all agree that we try to do the best we can do for the people of Mexico, for the money we have to spend, and we thank you for your support. At this time, we'll have public comments. If you'd like to make a public comment, you may come to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing no one coming to the podium, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes?
Briggs,
Yes.